Inspections, inspections, inspections. Many buyers think that I'm going to let them buy a house without inspections. Don't worry, I'm not. I'm here today to talk with you about what goes on during inspections, why you should have them, why they cost what they do, and how you can get the most out of your inspection report. Most buyers are a little bit nervous when they're going to buy a house. Like, do you know the word kishkas? Like we say, it eats your kishkas out. Your guts. It kind of makes you nervous. You're spending a ton of money. You're committing to one home. This is like dating, right? You're committing to one thing. And it's really a big deal. And I'm excited for you. And you should be excited too. When it comes to the inspections, that's when we take that minute of excitement and we kind of tamp it down and we get very serious for a couple of moments. And I'm going to explain why that is as we talk through sort of a checklist of what happens during inspections and how you can use that information to help you as a homeowner. So congratulations, you're in contract. It's going to be a very, very busy week. Very busy. You have to deposit your earnest money. You have to apply for your loan. And you have to schedule your inspections. Typically, when you show up, the inspector says to you, oh, I've already been here for like 20 minutes looking at the outside of the house already and checking out the roof. Depending on your inspector, there are two different ways that I know of to do roof inspections. One is they may fly a drone over the property and take pictures, or depending on how high the roof is and what style it is and what season it is, they may actually put a ladder up against the house and climb right up there. And I know that sometimes when buyers show up, they're like, wait, you've been here for 20 minutes and I didn't even think I was late. It's okay. Let the inspector walk around the house and really look at everything, because the minute we start chattering and talking at them, it's very hard for them to actually do their job. So when they walk in, the things that they're looking for are big and small. And when I say big and small, what I mean is like this. Yes, they're looking for big things like foundation issues. They're also looking for small things that could be big things. Like, how big is an outlet? An outlet is actually small, but could have some problems. And your inspector is going to be the one that tells you what those problems actually are. Now, we live in Northeast Ohio. Don't have grand expectations about your house being brand new. Most of our housing stock here in Cleveland is old. It's old. That means old electrical, old plumbing. Those things can be updated, and very often they have been along the way, and sometimes they haven't been. So we just have to know what's important and then to use that information going forward. What do I mean? Like, let's say the inspector says, this house only has 2-prong outlets. Okay, well, bummer, down the road, I'll change them to 3 prongs. Or, alternatively, they might say this house has 3-prong outlets, but none of them are grounded. Oh, rats. Well, we might have to change those back to the 2 prongs. Or they might be up in the attic. And we see this a lot, where there's insulation laid on top of Romex wires. And they might say, remove the insulation from on top of the wires. That's a fire hazard. So you would ask the seller to do that. Those are the kinds of things that the inspector is looking for that you weren't expected to know, and that the seller is not expected to know either. You might be saying to me, Shoshana, we read the disclosures and the sellers didn't disclose any of this. You know what? Most sellers really don't know a lot of kind of things like that about their house. What we know as homeowners, we know if a faucet leaks. We know if a roof leaks, right? Because we, feel the water inside the house. But most people are not really going to know the insides of an electrical panel or the insides of like attics in the rafters, things like that. That's just not something most people are going to know. So what I see a lot in home inspections, a lot, is I see corners of basements where people are nervous because they feel like, water is coming into the basement. And I want to explain what 95% of those corners actually are. When you walk outside of a house, there's gutters, right? Gutters are what the rain falls in, the melting snow falls in, and they're watery, right? Filled with water. And they go down to the downspouts, and the downspouts take the water away to the city. We have our our gutters, we have our downspouts. And when the downspouts get clogged, which they do, because of leaves and bird stuff and debris and just junk that falls in the gutters, those get clogged and then it pushes the water back up into the corner of a home. So what I have noticed is if you have a plumber jet meaning like a heavy stream of water, right, to jet out the downspouts so that the drains are clear to the city sewer lines, we really don't have that problem. And any kind of moisture in the corners of the basement typically goes away. The other thing about it is that there's a whole big mix match about waterproofing systems. Some pumps, some love them, some hate them. External waterproofing with digging and rocks, and there's a lot to be learned there. But the bottom line is, I want your basement to be just as dry as you do. And what you need to know as a homeowner or a future homeowner is that every 5 years or something like that, 2 years, you'll have the gutter guys out. They'll come and they'll jet out those drains. They'll clean your gutters out with, shovel water, jet them out, and they'll be clean, and you won't have that moisture in your basement. That will be really fabulous. While we're talking about things I see a lot, I also want to talk a little bit about GFCI outlets. You may notice next to a sink, that's your bathroom and your kitchen, there's a special electrical outlet with a little button so that if the prongs of the plug get wet, that it will trip and it won't work, right? That's for your safety. A lot of times in houses, the GFCI outlets, A, either they don't work, or B, they aren't in place. Like let's say it's an older house, the GFCI outlets just aren't there. Don't freak out. They're like $75 to put into place. They're not that expensive. When we're talking things that you do want to have, I want to see smoke detectors and I want to see CO2 detectors, that's carbon monoxide. I want to see those detectors in every single home. Every home you live in, every home you're about to live in. Don't let me down on that. Call me and tell me you put CO2 detectors and smoke detectors in your house. I'll give you a huge thumbs up. Okay, this is gonna sound a little crazy, but did you know that probably all of us have mold in our houses? Like all of us. Mold is a natural thing, it grows in the air, and I know you have allergies, and I know you can't breathe mold, and I know you think you can smell it. Mold actually doesn't smell. Mold is something that grows, and it grows on wood, and it grows on natural substances. Very often, bathrooms vent into the attic, and very often, attics end up having mold in them as a result. Very often, we have mold remediation in the attic. Don't stress out about it, not a big deal. That's a little bit pricier. We're talking about a couple $1,000s. Typically, sellers will take care of that for a buyer because they understand that nobody wants to buy a house with mold in it. So don't stress out if that comes back on your inspection report. We want to get it taken care of just like you do. I really think I could go on and on about inspections and tell you that at the end of your inspection, you're going to have a conversation with the inspector. He's going to be swiping through photos and you're going to be nodding, and he's going to be swiping and you're nodding, swipe, nod. And at the end, you're like, wait, what did he look at and what did he tell me? And did I learn anything at all? That's where your real estate agent comes in. Allow your real estate agent to guide you through the process of reading the inspection report and to find the things that are truly health and safety related issues for your home. Meaning that every single thing that's on there is not necessarily an issue. You probably live somewhere right now that might have like a tiny leak around a faucet, a toilet with a rattly handle or something like that. I know you want your house to be perfect when you move in it. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be pretty good. And pretty good is about as good as it gets in houses. I mean, the subject of inspections is so big and so deep and so tall. And what I was saying at the very beginning about how you can use the inspection report, you're going to get this multi-page thing or, big PDF of your inspection report. Use that as your to-do list. Meaning that as you go along time, you get a little money, a little time one weekend, you decide to upgrade this and that, decide to put a vent cap on this and that, you decide to have somebody come put a chimney cap on your chimney, just different things along the way. And don't really worry about the things. Like I say, just use the inspection report as your to-do list. And really, if you're wondering more and more about the inspections, I bet you're a first-time home buyer. I got a video about that too. You should watch this for tips that will help you get your first home, and move on forward.